This time on Kawaii-Fi Radio, it's our first episode after Hoshicon, and Kyle and Tifa are exhausted. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm dead inside. It's amazing. Yeah. Tifa has been exploring on My Anime List.
I've just been reading the reviews. I don't know why I hate myself so much.
I don't know why you hate yourself so much either. And we talk about some of the other directions Suzume could have gone in, or other inorganic partners such as a milk carton.
Yes, yeah.
A milk carton.
Yes.
What are you going to do with a milk carton? Come on.
Ava launch!
Tetsuo! Kaneda!
Oni-chan?
It's over 9,000! Nani?
Configure the language logic interface for Japanese.
Kawaii-Fi.
Kawaii-Fi.
Kawaii-Fi Radio!
Konnichiwa and welcome. You're listening to Kawaii-Fi Radio, the podcast which dives into the world of anime and manga. I'm Kyle, and with me is Tifa, and we're the lone survivors after Hoshicon.
Yes.
We're alive, and we're the only ones who are actually able to go see the movie because we've been so busy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm dead inside. It's amazing. Yeah. Oh, but we had Hoshicon last weekend. It was a very, very busy. Hi, Liger. Don't you dare push any buttons. Oh, my God. The cat is on the table, and he is nuzzling against my sound panel for all of our stings, and he's no doubt going to push a button. He does not like...
Maybe he wants to tell you something.
He does. And just in a moment you hear he hits the bucka button or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, completely sidetracked. It's the week after Hoshicon. Tifa and I hosted several panels. Kenny looked after the desks and all the AV for us during that. It was amazing. And we'll be putting some videos out in some time frame.
Yeah.
once we've had a chance to actually
soon.
recuperate and relax, because it was an intense weekend.
It was, yes.
It was good fun, and definitely looking forward to doing it again. And wonderful to meet so many people, especially during our big quiz.
Yeah.
And you had someone come up who's a regular podcast listener.
Yes,
yeah.
She was really lovely. She came up and she was like, "Hi guys, I just wanted to say hello because I've been listening to your podcast for over a year now, and she was saying that she started watching Reincarnated as a Slime and other animes as well because of the podcast.
Aww.
And yeah, she was really sweet.
It's nice when we get the opportunity to actually meet people who
Yeah.
listen to us. So to whoever that was, because our brains are glue after the weekend.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
It was lovely to meet you
Yes.
on Tifa's behalf. And thanks for listening. But anyway, on to this episode. And we did talk about this briefly during episode 100, but there is a certain film out in the cinemas at the moment.
Yes.
And it's almost finished its run, unfortunately. And because of that, it's not all the team have had the opportunity to go and see it. And it's a film we've been looking forward to. It's by Mokoto Shinkai, who created Your Name, Weathering With You, and I think I'm trying to remember what the other one.
There is another one, but...
Oh, there's so many.
There's another main one, though.
Yeah, it's like Voices Among the Stars, Voices from a Distant Star. But he has created a new film which has been out for about 6 months in Japan now.
Yeah, November.
And it's only been out for about a month here, and that's called Suzume, and that's what we're going to be looking at today. Suzume's Locking Up, or Suzume's Door Locking, which it's... I was so excited for this, and I watched it, and I'm still excited for it.
Yes.
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Hey, Liger buddy, we'll let you out in a moment during the ad break.
Gamer subs.
This is and now let's talk about our upcoming sponsor, Nord Shadow Legends. But we do need to kind of have a talk about some of the other stuff that has been going on before we get stuck into that, because the new season is here, and man, there's a lot to like this season. So yeah, let's talk about what we've been watching.
I have no idea how old I am or where I came from.
Daddy, ohaya.
Hey, time! I gotta go!
I have to know. Hooray, I did the thing.
Oni-chan, nani wo miru? What we're watching.
Yes, Aaron's here in spirit. Oni-chan, what are you watching? Let's start with the obvious one, Oshinoko. And Tifa,
Yeah.
you've not only been watching it, you're up to date on the manga as far as you could get.
Yeah.
Is it good?
Oh, it's so good. It is gut-wrenchingly good.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh, jelly. I need to... This is the problem I have. Like, when a manga's airing, I rarely want to go and read it in case I spoil the surprise of how the season ends.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I also have done that though for one season, one show this season, so we'll get to that in a minute. But Oshinoko, it's obviously massive at the moment,
Yes.
and you're still enjoying the manga, even.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it gets better.
It gets better.
It gets better.
Does it get like more depthful and twirly and
Oh,
complicated?
yeah. It's so good. So, like, yeah, for those who don't know, Oshinoko is about an idol who gets pregnant at 16 years old, and she hides this pregnancy from the world because idols are supposed to be pure and perfect and all those kinds of things. And in doing so, she goes to find a doctor who will help her hide this pregnancy and deliver the kids. And the day that she gives birth, the doctor goes missing and dies.
Yeah.
And then when she gives birth to these twins, he gets reincarnated as one of them, and then the story goes from there.
And it's got a whole thing.
Oh yeah, you just kind of like
It's not look, without spoiling anything, the story's not about the reincarnation or being a child of an idol. It's about something completely different, which is unveiled at the end of episode 1, which is feature length.
Yes, it is like it's the perfect way to do a prologue. It's basically a film. It's so good, and I really like that. So there's obviously some issues when you think about, oh, this grown adult man is being reincarnated as a baby of an idol who he is a fan of. But the reason why he's a fan of this idol is explained within the anime and within the manga as well. So it doesn't feel as like, oh, he's in love with the idol or anything like that. He has a sentimental attachment to this idol because of somebody who was at the hospital he worked at. And the way they do his story as this reincarnated child, even in the manga, is just so well done that you almost forget, but he will remind you.
Yeah.
So I think that is like really important because it's like he's also growing up, right? And he has to battle with this identity that has been given to him as this child and the identity he actually has as well. And like just being a human being, right? Because like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna have to grow up, like, as well. And even though that's like not the main story, it's quite interesting the way that they do it because there are concerns about that, right?
Yeah,
but
of course.
they do a really good job. And there are so many points in the manga where I had to like step away from the manga because the twists and turns, I was like, what is happening right now? And I had to like step away and then come back to it. Like, when I read Chainsaw Man, there was like one moment where that happened. In Oshinoko, there are like 5 different moments that I can think about, and one of them will happen this season of the anime as well. So,
okay. Yeah. This is a series that my understanding as well is that the manga handles the actual story prelogue very differently to the way it's been shown in the show. I think it's interspersed throughout the manga. Yeah, so it's kind of like a mix. So some of this is told as a prologue at the beginning of the manga as well, but throughout the first, I don't know, like 50 or so chapters, maybe not 50 chapters, but the first fair few chapters, there is like little panels at the beginning of each chapter, which shows like a different part of I, or somebody talking about I, who is the idol, and like, yeah, it just shows like little sections of her, and you get to see a little bit more through her daughter's perspective as well, so like her thoughts about it and stuff like that. So it's kind of like they've just taken all those little bits that you get, so they have like a prologue and then they have little extra bits, but they put it all together to make it like one
full length, I
full
guess,
length
prologue.
episode.
Yeah.
No, it's really good. Can highly recommend watching it. And as you said, when you were in Japan, it was being heavily promoted.
Oh my gosh, it was everywhere.
It was everywhere, and everyone was kind of surprised by that as well. And it's like, really? It's like, it's the creator of, you know, Kaguya-sama Love is War. Like
it's won more awards and been nominated for more awards than Kaguya-sama as well. So
it's a big deal. All right, well let's stick with violence and you know horror stories. No, I'm kidding. So I went and started watching The Dangers in My Heart, and this is very classic Kyle. It's romance. It's very romance. If you liked Komi Can't Communicate, I think you'll like this one a lot. It focuses on a guy they're in, I guess you could say, late middle school, I think. And he's like an edgelord. And he hates everyone, and he reads murder books out in the open and stuff like that. And he's a bit of a loner, a bit of a creep, is the way he sees himself. And this other girl in the class, Anna, because they're going through puberty, and he hates the world. He's thinking, no, just these people just need to die. These people need to die.
So
and
emo.
It's like, yeah, literally, and I thought like it was going to be a story where he was like Chunibyo, but he's not Chunibyo. He's just an edgelord. And that fades away. And it's really like a look at the transition of realizing what your emotions really mean as you're growing up. So, he thought he thinks he hates this girl, Anna, who's, this girl in his class, and he doesn't. He actually really likes her, and he doesn't realize it. So in his mind, he's like, I'd kill her, and then she can't be anyone else's. And that's kind of how it starts out. And you're like, that's a little bit sus,
A little bit?
Yeah, it's very sus, But it's also like we've seen this story played out many times before, where you've got that, the kid who's like feels like they're not part of the classroom and so on. And gradually over time they get to know each other. And it turns out like, Yamada Anna is like, she's basically a foodie. And by that, I don't mean as in like she loves the best food. She just really likes to eat.
That's fair. Food is good.
So, but you're not allowed to have snacks at school. So she keeps bringing snacks to the library where he's normally reading and eating in there. And they get to know each other and they become friends. And, there's a little bit of an element of like teasing Master Takagi cheekiness to it. And it's pretty good. Like, so good that I actually went and read the entire manga up to like. Obviously, it's only a few volumes of it are translated in English so far. But I went and started reading some fan subs because I was that obsessed, and I've read all 117 chapters over like 2 nights. And it's great. I love it. It's adorable. It's so sweet, and it's. I will be honest. The author does kind of like to put the main girl in suggestive shots, because she is, tall, busty, whatnot. Like, she's clearly a character who's gone through puberty early. Like, but when you get past that, and sort of like I wouldn't put it. It's not nowhere near as bad as like High School of the Dead, but like it's the same sort of thing. Once you get past that initial, factor of going, wow, okay, well, what are you doing?
Yeah.
The story is just beautiful. And the anime's art style is the art style changes from the beginning of the series to where I am now. Like it gets more refined and better. So you can tell the artist has grown a lot during that process. And the anime's art reflects the recent chapters art style. So
cool. It's
really good. So the character designs and the artwork are beautiful in the anime. The voice acting is really well done. And they've really nailed it. I'm really loving it.
Aww.
Yeah. So yeah, highly can recommend. Kenny was watching Insomniacs after school. So I started watching that. And it's amazing. And I adore it. And I'm really resisting reading the manga. But it's beautifully animated. Like, Insomniacs After School looks like it could be a Kyoto animation. So that's how good it is. Highly recommend. But yeah, Dangers in My Heart. Watch it, read it. It's good. Love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you've been watching something interesting or reading something interesting, drop us a comment over on socials or on YouTube. And obviously a bit of a, because it's just us two, it's a bit shorter today, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think we've done a pretty good job of covering off those two quite well. It means you can't talk about Oshinoko anymore.
I was just thinking while you were describing the main character, right? And you were saying he was like an edgelord and stuff.
Yeah.
I was like thinking about a review I read of Oshinoko on Mal on my anime list, and they were just saying he's just such an edgelord.
It's like, yeah, sure, yeah.
I was like, oh my god.
You would be too if you were looking for a murderer, dude.
Like, oh.
Oh. Yeah, look, some of the My Anime List reviews are just trash. They're literally the hottest of steaming hot takes.
Do you know how many like reviews there were on Oshinoko that were just Full Metal Alchemist should be number 1?
What?
And that was it. And then it would be like 1 star for Oshinoko. And I was like, wow, really, guys?
Wow, that is so pathetic. Like, don't get me wrong, we do believe Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is one of the greatest of all time, but at some point it is going to get knocked off.
Yeah, and that's happened like a fair few times in recent years as well. So I feel like there's going to eventually be a point where one of these will knock it off for good, which will be
interesting,
life-changing.
Yeah. It'll be the moment, like we were saying.
Yeah.
Like, I think FMA's back at number 1 now.
Yes, it is.
Only just.
Yes. Well, and then number 2 is Attack on Titan.
Oh, has it come up again?
Yeah.
Is this
and then
like
number 3
the
is
film?
Steins Gate, and number 4 is Oshinoko, and number 5 is Bleach, 1,000 Year Blood War.
Wow, it's dropped a lot then.
Yeah. There's been a lot of I've just been reading the reviews. I don't know why I hate myself so much.
I don't know why you hate yourself so much either. Like, it's swapped again. Steins Gate's number 2 now. People are downvoting
Attack on Titan.
Well, yeah, because it was 2 episodes. Like, come on, you can't claim those 2 episodes are the greatest of all time.
I agree. But like, wow, okay.
I mean, look, don't get me wrong, and we mentioned this on the 100th episode. I do believe that Attack on Titan is like one of the.
It's a big
deal.
Yeah.
It is a top 10 anime.
Yes.
But you guys have had so many chances at the crown that it's a joke now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's getting a bit ridiculous.
It's a joke. Like 400,000 people have voted for this new season of Attack on Titan, which is the same amount as Oshinoko.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So whereas there's 3 million for Fullmetal Alchemist and 2.4 million for Steins Gate, like.
Yeah, people really like Steins Gate. Like,
I don't watch it.
I don't hear people talk about it or say that it's like their favorite or their number 1 anime, but people do really like Steins Gate. Like, I've never heard anyone talk badly about it.
Yeah.
Even though it's not a lot of people's favorites. Like, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is a lot of people's favorites, but nobody talks badly about Steins Gate.
Yeah, it's true. It's also the same with Gintama. Like, Gintama's like got so many in the top 20. It was stupid when we were doing the rundown.
Yeah, there's so many.
Yeah, but look, I mean, I don't mind Fullmetal Alchemist being up there. I think it deserves a spot in the top 10, as does definitely. Attack on Titan as a combined franchise, but not as each individual seasons. And same thing goes for Gintama. I love Gintama, and it does deserve a spot in that top 10. I love it just because of what I know about it, that it's a gag comedy series. And from some of my brothers watched it, and they just sent me so many memes from it. It's insane.
Yeah.
But, Mal needs to pull its bootstraps up and actually combine these series.
There's enough seasons for it to be like Naruto Shippuden, right?
Yeah.
So like Naruto Shippuden is just Naruto Shippuden. It's not divided into each season.
I know, right? So yeah, I don't know. I'm just whinging. Realistically, I'm just whinging. But yeah, look, My Anime List is a mess, and we should probably do a video on how it's broken at some point. And then watch all of like the hardcore fans go, "No, it's amazing." And we'll be like, "Nah, you're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. Just accept it. Take the L."
Kawaii-Fi Radio.
We'll be there on time. There's 20 minutes of ads.
Cinema Club.
Did you have 20 minutes of ads? Were they all strangely targeted at Australians who are Asian and wanting to buy stuff with Commonwealth Bank?
No, that is very specific.
Every time I went and saw an anime film at Hoyt's the past 3 years, there's this same Commonwealth Bank ad that comes on where it's a guy that's flown into Australia and he's the guy, he meets a guy who's got a car and he drives him home, and it's all this ad for Combank. But the thing is they've done a version of this for people coming from Asia, people coming from India, people coming from South America, and people coming from the UK. And depending on what film you see, if you go see a Bollywood film, you'll get the Indian guy coming over. It's really weird. And it's really targeted.
I did get a bank. There was a bank ad. I can't remember what bank it was, but it was about going to Japan. So it was about getting a travel card, like a bank travel card, so that you could have less exchange fees and blah blah blah. When you go to travel, and the image was Japan. So
I mean, look, that's well targeted.
Yeah.
Where did you see it? Hoyt's?
Yeah, Hoyt's. Yeah.
Okay. Well played,
Yep,
Hoyts.
yep.
Well played. Look, I can get behind that.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're talking about Suzume. This is Mokoto Shinkai's latest film. It follows 17-year-old high school student Suzume Iwato and Sota Munakata. A chair.
A chair.
No. Look, where do we start with Suzume? Look, firstly, yes, it's good.
Yes. It's a fun time.
I would put it up there with Your Name. I don't think it's as good.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's so close.
It's less metaphorical as well.
Oh,
So
yeah.
the themes in it are quite obvious because
Yeah.
the point, especially if you see the Japanese title, which is Suzume is locking up or something like
Yeah.
that. She's locking all these doors that open, right? And when the doors open and she goes to close them, she has to think of all the spirits that were there. Right? And so it's supposed to be about mourning the devastation of all these people that have died, because it doesn't really get talked about that much, I guess. So I think it's quite a lot more obvious than, say, in Weathering with You or Your Name. They're themes that they all surround the same events of the tsunami and earthquakes of 2011.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting to see the different takes on the same sort of event as well.
Also, Your Name and Weathering with You were kind of within the same timeline, and this
Yes.
one is definitely adjacent.
Yep.
It's there are locations in this which you go, oh, that looks like it's from Your Name, or that looks like it's from Weathering with You, but they aren't the same locations.
Yeah.
They're just very well. I mean, I guess all high schools in remote Japan kind of have a similar
similar-ish,
style.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's they team up and it's a road trip sort of film across Japan to stop a disaster, and it literally starts is it in Kyushu, the far
Yes.
southwest
Yeah,
island, and ends up north of Tokyo. By I'm guessing they didn't say it, but I'm guessing it was Fukushima.
Maybe.
Yeah. I don't know. It kind of they went through an area which suggested
Yes,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, this was phenomenal. This is something worth seeing in the cinema. I wish we could have talked about this 4 weeks ago so people would have time to do it. But if you get an opportunity to see it in the cinema, yes. It's beautiful. The soundtrack.
Oh, the soundtrack.
Look, the soundtrack's great. I don't think it's as compelling a soundtrack as Your Name.
That's true, but I think I think what it did well in the soundtrack, though, in comparison to some of the other Shinkai films that use Radwimps as well, is that the happier moments were done so well. The music was so uplifting, in comparison. So those moments felt really energetic, and it just felt it felt right.
It did. I just think nothing's going to compete with Zen's scene. That was just
That's
cinematically
true.
stunning in Your Name.
Yes.
So I always compare it to that, and it's a high bar. I'm sorry, Makoto, you've peaked. No, I'm kidding.
I do wonder though, right? So in our 100 episode special, we did briefly mention that Makoto Shinkai did not want this to be a girl-boy romance as well. So when he originally pitched the idea, he wanted it to be two girls. Whether or not that had a romance he didn't really care for. He just wanted it to be like an adventure with these two girls, which would have been different from his previous films. And he was told, no, your name is so successful because the bar is so high for your name.
It is.
That they should just have it be a boy-girl. And he was like, but that's boring, so I'm going to turn him into a chair.
Yeah, I found it here. Initially, he wanted the companion to be another girl with a sisterhood type of romantic story, as he believed he had exhausted the potential of boy meets girl formula. They discouraged the idea, saying the audience for his films was still enjoying the typical romance, thus making the partner a chair was decided upon, both to avoid the film becoming too much of a romance and also to lighten the mood of the film, which would inevitably become quieter if the story focused on a mourning of a place. Which is true. Which is true.
I think it would have been really interesting if it was like that sisterhood adventure, or like I get it because they were like, oh, we want to get both demographics. So if we have a boy and a girl, it might be simpler to get both demographics. But Makoto Shinkai has talked about wanting to do something where maybe the other character's like non-binary, or they're just like a girl, or it's just like he doesn't care. He's just like, I just want to make films that seem interesting to me.
Well, there's an interesting one here. He considered other options for potential partners, such as a partner that turns into a monster throughout the course of the story, or other inorganic partners such as a milk carton.
Yes. Yeah.
A milk carton.
Yes.
What are you going to do with a milk carton? Like, come on. Like, don't be wrong. If it's Makoto Shinkai, it'd be amazing. I'd be buying merch for the milk carton. But yeah, the chair partner came when he saw a wooden chair sitting at a deserted bus stop and found its odd, foreign feeling to be better than any of his previous ideas. And he became less interested in writing a love story and wanted to predict different relationships like with Suzume and her aunt, which is true. And that's a big part of this story as well. Yeah. One of the things I actually really liked is almost all of the things that you see in the trailers, other than the most recent Western trailer, is all in like the first 10 minutes of the film.
Yes.
It doesn't spoil the rest of the film or how it's going to end. And there's a lot of, it's interesting, the cats.
Yeah, the cats are very interesting.
Like especially how the main one is shown to change depending on the environment.
And the love that he is given.
Yeah. So that was pretty interesting.
I also just love the way the cat just goes, Suzume?
Yeah. And the sort of the
really
creepy,
bad version.
The giant eyes and the creepy grin.
Like, oh my God.
Oh, so good. This was also like one of those odd ones for casting as well, wasn't it? Because like Nanoka Hara, like there was a lot of people auditioned for this. There's 1,700 people auditioned for this main role, and this was like her first
ever role out of acting school.
Yeah. Apparently a big fan of Shinkai's work, remarking she could not imagine being the one to share the unforgettable heart-shaking sensation she felt when first seeing one of his films in theatre.
No.
So it's nice when there are people who are passionate about the work. Like,
I think she did a really good job as well, because the character is supposed to be from a different region that's not Tokyo as well. And when you actually go to Japan, you go to like Osaka or Kyushu and stuff, you can tell there's a difference in accent as well.
Yeah.
And the way that they enunciate certain things. And I think she did a really good job of that, because I find that people that are from like the more southern regions of Japan kind of sound a bit more similar to an Australian speaking Japanese as well, and I felt that in her accent and her speaking as well. So I think she did a pretty good job.
She did an amazing job.
I also think it's interesting that the main male character is played by a Japanese idol.
Yeah, Matsumura Hokuto.
Yeah.
As Sota, and he described the character as one he had never seen in any of the director's works, and therefore giving a voice to Sota that he'd never heard before. Shinkai found his voice to be impressive, and that embodies the character of a chair. No. So yeah, look, look, the cast of characters was fantastic.
Yes,
There's a lot of diverse people in this, and I think, and I have mentioned this before, I've been quite excited by the style of character designs in this, because like Suzume, she's 17, she's almost considered an adult.
Yes.
And often when we see anime films and the kids are at the end of kids are at the end of school or university, they don't look like they're turning into adults. They kind of look like they stay in that one spot and then they suddenly are an adult later,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you know, they've grown an extra foot or something, you know, and like the style changes. Whereas this is one of those rare occasions where the characters, and not just Suzume, her friends as well,
Yes.
they look what you would expect. The transition from like the cutesy anime art style to the adult art style, they seem smack bang in the middle of it, and depending on their expressions, you can see different aspects of that style.
Yeah.
So for me, the character designer, I adore them. They did such a good job. Also, like, Sota looks like Howl, and
Oh, he's so great. I like that he was a university student as well.
Yeah.
And I love his best friend.
His
best friend is everything to me. And his like music playlist. And I was like, oh my God, this guy is like, he's stolen my heart.
I was just waiting for the city pop to blast
Oh my
out. I'm
God.
like, yeah. Also, like, his car.
Oh,
That
his car.
Poor car.
Oh my gosh.
What was it? Sarazawa. Yeah. So
He was
he's
cool.
he's also a student at university who aspires to become a teacher, and he gets involved in this story at the end. But it's interesting as well, like we see a lot of different aspects and threads interwoven early on that
Yes.
we weren't expecting, I feel, from the previews. Like the previews focus specifically on basically Suzume, Sota, the door, the cat, and whatever's coming out of that door and closing it. And we don't really see that in the larger picture. Whereas the moment the film starts, it starts with a dream that Suzume's having. And, you know, that dream connects to the overall and overarching story.
I love a full circle moment in a
Yeah,
film.
I
It's
know,
just
right?
So good.
That final scene in what is it, the Ever After?
Yeah.
What?
I was like, I thought that this would happen, but
I know,
when it
right?
happened, I was like, oh, something just clicked. It felt right. Oh.
It did. Like you're watching it and you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, yep, those events happened and that led to that, and maybe that was like a moment of trauma which led to that connection. I'm avoiding spoiling it quite well, I think, actually. Those who've watched it will know exactly what we're talking about with the final Ever After scene.
Yeah.
And, you know, the way that was shown, like, you thought, okay, that all makes sense. But the closer you get towards the end of the story, the more you start going, hang on, that's connected to that, that's connected to that, that's connected to that. Okay,
Yeah.
this could go deeper and deeper. And it does. And it literally goes full circle, and it's amazing. And... I was sitting there going, no, yes, yes. Yeah, like initially I thought this was going to be like the follow-on from Weathering with You, because we saw all the water of the abandoned places.
Well, I mean, because technically it is about the same. Well, like it's
Events.
based on the same event technically, which is like the tsunamis and earthquakes that we talked
the
about.
Tohoku
So like
earthquake.
they all just kind of mirror each other in a way. So it's interesting.
Oh, it actually Tohoku's the
Yeah.
region that they went to for the end, which is
Yes, yeah.
that is the area which has Fukushima in it.
Okay.
That's
okay.
why it looked familiar. Because like you see a lot of images depicting that area in the media, and we both work in the media, so
Yeah.
we've been exposed to a lot of it. I adored this.
It was so good. I watched it immediately after I came back from Japan, so I think 2 days after. And then when we were watching it, and there are scenes in Tokyo as well, and other scenes like in the countryside, and we were like, oh yes, we've been there. It's like so weird because like I feel like Americans don't get this, right? So in Australia, in Perth, nothing's ever based here. So when you see something and you're like, oh yeah, I've been there before, you're like, oh yeah. And then like seeing all these places in the film and being like, wow, this feels like the weirdest kind of deja vu because I was just there. And like I feel like Americans just don't get that because it's just
so
always
much media.
in America.
Yeah. In America. Yeah, I mean, like the only anime that's, you know, mentioned Perth is a place for the universe, and we went absolutely insane over that. We're like, oh my god, it's Fremantle! Oh, yeah. And then we got upset when they're saying they're flying to Fremantle. No, it's Perth. It's part of Perth. Oh.
Yeah.
You know, like
That was
Fremantle,
funny.
Fremantle International Airport. That's not a thing.
That would be so funny.
But yeah, look, this is a film that is definitely deserving of the big screen treatment.
Oh, yeah.
from every aspect of it. Visuals are phenomenal. Like it's got that hallmark Shinkai sky.
Yes.
Like, the beautiful lines, the wispy clouds, the light shining through of the stars very visually. The traditional hand-drawn look of all the buildings and the characters and the scenery, with that, watercolor almost vibe to it. And it works so well for this story. Suzume meets a lot of interesting people along her journey. So there's a single mother, another 17-year-old girl, then obviously Sota's friend as well, and they all feel like they could be part of the main story.
Definitely.
Like, no character is underutilized. Every character has a role to play, and it's a useful role. It's not just for the sake of, we needed someone to fill this spot. No, all of them have a personality, an identity, a feeling, a vibe to it. And yeah, I know I'm really selling this up, but this is an event.
It's very good.
It's an event to see. And look, you might wonder, how can a 3-legged chair run? But my God.
Oh my God. That chair can run.
Oh my God. That chair can also tackle things and
goodness.
climb. Sota did well.
Yes.
He did really well.
Yeah, he did.
But it's interesting as well how this story kind of, the concepts and connections are kind of universal across, like Your Name, Weathering With You, and this. And they're, while very different films, they could be in the same world because of the shared themes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
My goodness, Kyle.
Oh.
You're going to make me yawn again.
I'm sorry. I'm so tired. I'm old. I need to, I don't know, dance or something.
Dance?
Get my energy
Get some
levels
idle
up.
music
Get
on.
give me some Woda sticks. Woo! Mixing. So this, the development of this film, so obviously, as we mentioned, 2011 earthquake and tsunami did serve as the major influence for the theme of the film. And the concepts and ideas were, a lot of his films are influenced by that natural disaster element. But he wanted to express the impact that he felt through the earthquake and tsunami rather than continuing to depict it as a metaphor. And as we said, this was on much more of a literal film, wasn't it? So he learned that people's memories to disasters have become hazy over time, and by depicting the earthquake and tsunami in his film or novel, he could also share his memories with teens who were unaware of the disaster. He also cited Kiki's Delivery Service, Guardian of the Lonely and the Great God, and Haruki Murakami's novel Kafka on the Shore as influences for the film. Also with Super Frog Saves Tokyo. I don't know what that is. It's a short story.
I'm not sure what that is either.
Super Frog Saves Tokyo. What a name! Is that? I don't know why, but I'm now just imagining it's sort of like a
I'm imagining
a
those
Super
frogs
Sentai.
In Naruto Shippuden.
Oh.
What was it? Super Frog Saves
Tokyo.
Oh, it's got a website and everything.
Yeah, gee. Wow.
That's not what I thought it was going to look like.
That is not what I thought it was going to... It kind of looks like a horror, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Oh, okay. No, this... Kataguri found a giant frog waiting for him in his apartment. It was powerfully built and standing over 6 feet tall on its hind legs. A skinny little man, no more than 5'3". Kataguri was overwhelmed by the frog's imposing bulk. "Call me Frog," said the frog in a clear, strong voice.
Call me Frog.
What's the Wind in the Willows? It's like, call me Toad. Toad. They've actually... GQ have the entire story on here, and it's got this weird picture of the old man.
Yes, no, I saw that.
Chatting to this giant frog.
Why?
I'm gonna read this later. I'm gonna link it in the comments too. That's wild. What are we looking at? Oh dear. Look, we've gone well off track here, but giant frogs, Suzume, they're not that disconnected. No. So, this film, like many during the past few years, have been impacted by the pandemic. So they did get a bit of a delayed start on this. And apparently Sota turning into a chair was a reference to Shinkai feeling trapped during the COVID-19 restrictions. So that's kind of interesting. So he used that to develop those internal monologues that we saw when Sota was sleeping, which is kind of interesting as well. Staff includes the character designer, animator. So these are all the same people from Comics Waves and Story Inc. that were involved in the past two films. I think it's safe to say, I would happily give this a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, I adored this. I'd put it. It's only just behind Your Name. It's definitely better than Weathering with You, and I did like Weathering with You. I know not a lot of people did, but I think this is definitely like it's a return to form for them.
Yeah.
Like it's right up there, and I'm really excited to see what he does next. What about you? How would you rank it?
I don't know if I think it's better than Your Name or not. I feel like it's almost. I feel like because it's not as metaphorical, it kind of brings it down a little bit. I don't know why. But I think they're just as good as each other. I just think that this is easier for people to digest than Your Name might have been. But
this might be a bit more accessible.
Yeah.
Especially if you're new to anime, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
This will be very, like, what's happening with the doors and their connection to the world makes a lot of sense. And it's really laid out.
Yeah.
Clearly, there's no question about what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, that door does that, and that's what it is. And
it's
that's
a very nice, like, fantasy, supernatural type of, like, anime film. I'd give it a 9 out of 10 as well. It's very high up there. I just don't know where.
I know, right? Where would it go in your top 100?
I don't know.
Above Attack on Titan.
The top, yes. I think a lot of things in my top 100 are going above Attack on Titan, but that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, look, we did average it out, and it does end up being in like the top 20 Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
But I know we slap on about it a lot, but we just I think within the team it's become a bit of a joke and a bit of
it's just a meme.
It's a dead horse that we keep whipping. Like, we keep going, oh yeah, this is going to be fantastic. Look at it doing it again. It's trying to be number one and it's failed. But yeah, no offense, Attack on Titan fans.
I feel like if someone had asked about it like a couple of years ago before the final part, this part, that part, that, I think people would have been like, yeah, definitely deserves like that like top spot and things like that. But I think they've just kind of like ruined it themselves with the way that they've released the end part.
They knew how much. Like,
the manga was done.
I finished the manga. I was like, this can't be the final season, everyone. And like, you know, Crunchyroll and Funimation, everyone going, it's the final season. And everyone in the comments who read the manga is like, there's no way you can fit that entire story in 12 episodes. What are you doing? Yeah. And we saw this playing out. And so now it's final season part 1, 2, 3, and 4. They can call it part 3, part 1, and part 2, but you can get off your horse. It's a joke. It's a really bad joke. It's like Gintama, where they call like, you know, the final the final film the final, and then underneath it in brackets for real this time. And then they put an episode afterwards called it the semi-final. Yeah, it's like, come on, you're just taking the mick now. But that's part of the appeal of Gintama, I guess. But yeah, look, Suzume in cinemas. Crunchyroll are involved in distribution, so hopefully it should end up on Crunchyroll. I'm pretty sure distribution is being handled by Sony Films. Yeah. So, yep, Sony Pictures International is in charge of it. So hopefully that will mean... the yawn. Hopefully that will mean that we will see this coming to Crunchyroll quickly. In, say, like the next few months in case you missed it. And my recommendation, get as big a screen as you can if you can't catch it in the cinemas. Turn the lights off and just be immersed in the experience, because it's so good. It's so good. It's become the 4th highest grossing film of 2022 in Japan, and 4th highest grossing Japanese film of all time. Now we need to check that, because it's whether that's accounting for inflation. Okay, so yes, worldwide, it is the 4th highest grossing Japanese film of all time. It is only 60 million behind Your Name. So...
Don't forget that this hasn't been out for very long in the US as well, and it's only just been released in a couple of other countries as well, so that could increase.
I think once South America's release happens, we'll see a big bump again, because South America do love it. Frustratingly, One Piece film Red is 5th. But it's 80 million behind. Yeah. So it tells,
because people were like, oh yeah, One Piece in the big cinema, like in the theater, and then they were like, oh yeah, and then it wasn't great. And then everyone was devastation.
Like, look, I do like One Piece a lot, and now that I'm up to date on it, I can honestly say it's a fantastic story. But Red is not.
It's not it.
It didn't feel like One Piece.
No.
It felt a lot more like it was all about...
It played by different rules as well. It just
completely
wasn't
ignored
like,
the rules of the world it was in. But yeah, so Suzume, background shading indicates films playing in the week commencing 28th of April 2023. Okay, so this still hasn't been updated for the past week of fun, so it could be even higher.
Yep.
But look, go see it. It good. Me likey.
Good.
Me likey. It has a website. It's a very pretty website.
Oh, yes.
The way it's done.
He's such a pretty boy.
He's such a pretty boy. He even has beauty spots.
I know.
It's so good. Have I gone on enough about it?
I think so.
Have I crushed on enough about how you should see Suzume? Are you going to go see Suzume now, dear listener? You should do it. I know this is getting a little bit personal, but trust me, you'll like it. It's good. It's good.
Kawaii-Fi Radio.
Tonight on Anime Communique.
Great story, compelling and rich.
Nothing brings ratings up like a little controversy.
Now, I was going to start off talking about Suzume. But I realised I can't break tradition. We've got to talk controversy.
Oh.
So, we've had an update on the live-action One Piece series.
Controversy.
Apparently, it's going to be 8 episodes of the first season. We don't know how long those episodes are.
Yeah.
But probably an hour. Because
that sounds
it's
a bit
Netflix.
like, yeah.
So far, Netflix has shared an update for the Hollywood live-action series of One Piece. The update is a message from original creator Oda Ichiro, who is also serving as executive producer, and he stated the show is still scheduled to debut this year, but it will not launch until he is satisfied, which is good news.
Okay.
He also added that each and every entity involved is working in sync, and clarifies the series will have 8 episodes as opposed to the 10 episodes originally reported. Now, it's so colourful, his note. It's, it's
That's an Oda note, all right. He does
Yeah.
this all the time. This is what he
Yeah.
posts on Twitter all the time.
So it's very colourful. He highlights things in like different text colours. We've been hard at work this entire time, and then it goes back to it was in purple. Then it goes back to black text, and it goes and then back into purple. Each and every entity is working in sync. And then back into black. We're finally here. I was like, okay, cool.
He's having fun.
He definitely is. I could just see him there, like... This doesn't look handwritten. It looks like a font that's designed to look handwritten. I'm just imagining him going through highlighting, going, that'll be purple, that'll be red, that'll be the same color as Nami's hair, this will be the same color as... Yeah, it's really adorable. So... This, he says they'll be setting sail very soon, is what he said. There is still some questions around this. Like, this could still be a dumpster fire. I just don't know. I just don't know.
I think the cast, they look fantastic. They seem very lovely. Some of them are quite young as well, and they seem like potentially they could do a good job. But if you talk about Avatar: The Last Airbender, I do think, I know we don't mention it, but like the actor that plays Aang was so perfectly cast. He was the right age. He is a martial artist. He was playing on like monkey bars and just having fun on set and was just a kid.
Yeah.
But the direction and the way they wrote it was the problem.
Yeah.
So that could potentially be a problem here. We don't
Yeah.
know. But I do know that mangaka, when they give the rights for their manga, it's up to them how much or what can be done. So basically they do, because based on Japanese copyright, they do have the final say. So it depends on whether the mangaka is a pushover or not. I know that's like kind of like, some of them are just like, oh, I just can't even look at it anymore, so just do whatever. So, but I feel like Oda has taken care of One Piece for so long and has thought about this for so long before even writing about it that he knows exactly what he wants it to be. And if he's saying that it's not going to be released until he's
good.
okay with it, which is true, like based on copyright in Japan, and they have to abide by that because it's his work, right?
Yeah.
He can basically say no. Like after all of it's done, after they've put in all this effort, he could go, no, redo it all, and they would have to redo it all. Like it's
or drop it.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that he is the kind of person that would do that.
I feel like he is.
But like also it depends on how persuasive these Hollywood producers might be as well, because maybe they just screw it all up and he's just like, I can't deal with this anymore. I don't.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see. But I think based on his message and the fact that he is so heavily involved, hopefully it'll at least be okay.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. I'm hoping it does. And we've discussed this. I did quite like live action Cowboy Bebop, but as I mentioned, there were ways they could have improved it.
Yeah.
Especially when it came to Vicious. Vicious needed less lines.
Yeah.
Because it removed his threatening aura. And that I showed how in a video, if you cut a lot of his lines and use his presence, it's much more powerful. And I am worried this will do the same thing because it is Netflix and it is Tomorrow Studios. And while Tomorrow Studios have done good things in the past, they've also messed things up. So I am kind of...
It's unfortunate because Cowboy Bebop, it visually looks nice. And I think One Piece is going to visually look nice. The sets look really great, but it's just, you just won't know until it's there in front of you.
Yeah, and I mean, Tomorrow Studios were the ones behind live action One Piece. So, not One Piece, Cowboy Bebop. So, we know the sets and the character design will look good. We know that. We know that they're going to get that right. It's just, it's all going to be about the writer. Now, the main writer for the series is Matt Owens, who did Luke Cage and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Both series, which I actually really enjoyed.
Yeah.
So, hopefully... it'll work.
Just always reminds me of when M. Night Shyamalan was like, yeah, I've watched all of Avatar. I love Avatar. And he did all those interviews and there's all those behind the scenes footage on the Avatar DVDs of the series.
Yeah. And then he does... They released that. What a twist. Anyway... That's apparently landing sometime this year, considering they're saying it still will be sometime. They've agreed to, have it released this year, but not till it's done. Seeing as that's being said, that suggests there's more work that needs to be done. I'm saying second half at earliest.
Yes.
I don't think we're going to see anything in the next 2 months.
It'll probably be October, November.
Yeah, actually, third quarter.
Yeah.
Fourth quarter, sorry. So yeah, let's go back. There's your controversy. Let's go back
Live
to Suzume.
actions.
Live action is always controversial. Crunchyroll has revealed on Friday that Suzume has earned over $10 million at the US box office so far. It opened on April 14, so that's over a 2-week run, which isn't too bad, all things considered. It did earn $5 million in its opening weekend, so obviously, as is typical, it slows down a little bit. Yeah, I'll be interested to see where it does end up, because I suspect it's not going to catch up to Your Name. That's what I'm wondering. It could, but considering that it's slowing that much already in the US, and US is a big market, we've already had the Chinese market have access to it.
The Chinese market loved it.
They
went
adored
straight
it.
to number 1.
Yeah, so and it's still showing in China, so it could still go up. But I think by now, the amount of people in China who would see it have already seen it.
I think it's only just been released in South Korea as well.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting over the next few weeks to see how it plays out. But look, it's going to be one of the top films in, for a long time.
Yeah.
It isn't going to catch up with Demon Slayer, unfortunately. Demon Slayer
is another beast.
Demon Slayer is on $500 million.
Yeah.
For an anime film, that's mind-blowing. Spirited Away, after all its subsequent re-releases, and keep in mind, Spirited Away was re-released in China in the past 10 years because it hadn't been released there ever, is only on $395. So, yeah. Wow. So, look, highly... as we mentioned, highly recommended. Going to be highly interesting to see how this actually turns out worldwide, price-wise. Now, there is a new anime studio that's been announced.
Yes.
And this is from the creator, the anime director and animator Hiroyuki Hashimoto. And he's announced on Twitter that he has founded a new anime studio named Stepple, Stepple. Now, it only has 3 staff members right now, including himself, and that is not yet ready to welcome new employees, but will grow in the future. In all likelihood, it'll start off as a support studio, build up its experience, and then go from there. He is currently taking private messages from freelance animators and directors as expressions of interest. Wanted that known. The picture that he shared on his Twitter account for it is him doing like a Fonzie gun towards the camera. Like, he's just very pleased with himself. Yeah. Now, he is best known for his work in directing anime. His debut as a director was Code Geass in 2006. He's also been in Heaven's Prophecy, Angel Beats, Tiger and Bunny, Excel World, and more recently is The Order of Rabbit, which was his full anime directorial debut. So he was in charge of the whole thing. Animation director debut with Code Geass. So he did episode directing on all those others. Is The Order of the Rabbit was as head director, including the second season, and then Magical Girl Raising Project, Classroom of the Laid Backers, Estab Life, The Great Escape, which was ugly. Yeah. So he was a key animator for various Sunrise, JC Staff, and Madhouse projects back in the day. So this could be the starts of another sort of, I wouldn't say a mapper, because I think Mappa's got a lot more backing behind it, but this could be the start of like another Trigger type micro studio that releases something epic every few years. And I'm always here for that. Yeah. Like, boutique studios are where it's at. It's the good fun. Righty. And to wrap things up, the Cells at Work manga is getting a spin-off. Now, you're going, which one? Because there's like 50.
Oh, gosh.
My God. Like, there's Cells at Work, the Cells at Work Black, Cells at Work Bacteria, Cells at Work Neobacteria, White Brigade, Baby, Cells Not at Work, Cells at Work and Friends, and Cells at Work Platelets have all been released by Kodansha USA, and that's not even all of them. Yeah. The latest one is Cells at Work Cat. It is... Yep, was announced in Monthly Shonen Serious magazine. There are 2 new spin-off manga in the works. One of them is Cells at Work Cat, and the other one is Cells at Work Medicine. Don't know too much about the latter. Cells at Work Cat, you can probably guess what that's going to be. Also, there is also another manga coming, Cells at Work Muscle. Which launched in Kodansha's monthly morning magazine on February 16.
I expect muscle girls.
Oh, please. Oh, please. But yeah, Cells at Work Cat, as you would expect, with Cells at Work, all the characters reflect the body they're in, so all of the red blood cells have cat ears and a tail. So, yeah. Cells at Work Medicine, I have no idea how that's going to work, but the main character does look like a main red blood cell from original Cells at Work, and she's carrying a giant pill. So medicine. Go figure.
Wow.
Like, I'm actually really keen to have like all of it adapted.
Yeah.
Like, Cells at Work was great.
So cute.
Cells at Work Black was great. The final chapter of original Cells at Work dealt with COVID and showing how the body reacted to that.
Yeah.
So the manga had actually been finished, and then COVID hit, and they were like, well, let's talk to some doctors and actually make a special. And then it ended up being like an extra 4 chapters. And apparently it's really good. So I actually need to read it. Like, I've got so much I need to read. It's really bad. So, yeah, this is going to be launching in the coming months. Shimizu Production is working in cooperation for both spin-off mangas, and Shimizu is involved in everything Cells at Work. So there you go. And that's going to be launching in Monthly Shonen Serious. So it might actually be serialized digitally. Because they have quite a lot of stuff like that. Serialization begins in July for both of them. So I guess August, September, we'll start hearing a bit more about it and how it's going, and, you know, if it's going to get a TV adaptation. I want to read Platelets at Work. That's really cute.
Yeah.
The platelets are adorable. And yeah, I think that's kind of it in the news. It's a bit odd. Like, we were going through the list, and there's not really a lot of massive things that have been making the news. Like, there's a lot to do with the Mario movie. There's a lot to do with mangas coming to their end, or the quintessential quintuplets anime special to premiere on TV in summer in Japan, and but everything else is kind of like, it's not really anything massive to talk about. Like, Dragon Goes House Hunting has a spin-off manga and that's ended. It's like, okay, cool. You know, the time I got reincarnated as a slime is getting stage play. Okay, that's cool.
There's so many stage plays that were announced as well
I
recently.
know, right? Like, is it the season for stage plays? That's what's going on.
Maybe.
And then you've got like, you know, we've announced this cast or this has got a live action or this person's joining this convention. It's like, it's just, it seems like it's a quiet month. I think everyone's waiting for we're kind of in the middle of an anime season. Yeah. And that tends to be the case. Like, we'll hear about all these new ones getting announced probably in the next 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if there's anything that hasn't been announced for July's season, the next 4 weeks will be the promotion period. So it's just a case that this week's a bit quiet, which works well for us, if I'm honest, because I want to go back to bed, evidently. So with that, I've just realised that we have not decided what we're doing for next episode, so that's going to be a surprise. But with that, let's wrap up.
Kawaii-Fi Radio.
Yes, as I said, it's time to wrap up. I need a blanket. I need to be wrapped up as a sausage roll, put to bed with some anime to watch on my iPad. So, next time... It's a surprise!
Wow.
We don't know what it's going to be, but I'm sure you're curious. Yes, next time we're going to have a chat with the team because we've all been pretty exhausted. And, well, yes, Liger agrees. He wants he wants us to do Cells at Work Cat. It's not out yet, buddy. I'm really sorry. Next episode is going to be interesting either way. We'll have a chat with the team. Man, there's a lot we've got on our list to discuss, but it's also finding the time to properly talk about. Like, we can't talk about Monster unless we can crack through at least one season of it.
That's true.
And that's
a tough
50
one
episodes. We did have a double feature planned. We did have no, that's it. That's it. Actually, we've caught up on some of the other ones we've.
Did we talk about something that's new this season, maybe?
Or do we do bros? Bro love between two bros? Maybe.
Between two bros?
Maybe. Emma's been saying that we should do a bro love episode.
It's just Itadori and the other guy in Jujutsu Kaisen when they're like, Besto friendo!
Besto friendo!
I forgot his name, I feel really bad.
If you have heard...
Toto, it's Toto. Sorry, it's Toto.
If you have enjoyed our review of Suzume, drop a like, all those good things. Make sure you are subscribed. God, this is episode 101. It's crazy to think we got here. If you do something long enough, you'll eventually get there.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of a bit like, really? Wow. And after Hoshicon as well, I'm sure we've got a few new followers, so welcome on board. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
We do also have a Patreon, where we have the pre-show. This episode's pre-show is a little bit shorter because in my infinite wisdom, I forgot to turn the right mic on for Tifa for pre-recording, which just tells you how burnt out we are. Drop a like for that.
If you just want to hear Kyle talking to himself.
To myself. We do have the Patreon, and big thank you to those who do support us on there. $1 a week gets you access to the pre-show. Videos kind of on hold at the moment. The house is almost done. We are apparently 6 weeks from handover.
Oh, nice.
So soon. Add another 2-3 weeks after that for carpets, painting floors. Wow, he's really vocal today.
Yeah.
I don't know if
he wants to join the podcast.
He wants to.
He's like, Suzume.
He's the right colour.
Yeah,
just hasn't got a patch in his eye. It's on his head. Join our Only Cats. Pictures of Liger there. I should actually put a picture of him up on Patreon being cute. If you can afford to support us, we realise at the moment it's tough for everyone, so no stress. We have our socials. We've got Facebook, we've got Instagram, we've got TikTok, we've got YouTube, we've got Twitter, we've got too many things to keep track of. Maybe I'll put us on Mastodon as well, just to make my life troublesome. I don't know. I think Mastodon only really works if you're in the tech industry.
I guess, yeah.
It's kind of like Twitter, but for communities.
Yeah.
But
We're
yeah,
on Discord.
we're on Discord, which I very rarely remember to check. I'm really sorry.
Okay, I posted in there the other day for Hoshicon.
Oh, thank you. I need to just like sit down and plan out how I'm going to do it. And I was really good. Like I was really good for the first 4 years of the podcast, and I think that says a lot. But with the stress of building the house and changing jobs and the convention, it's just wow, buddy. He agrees. Now he's. He is looking at the mirror and he's like patting against himself in the mirror.
And then he like looks at us and he's like, "Why are you laughing at me?"
Like, we're not laughing at you. We're just laughing at you. We're laughing at your actions, my boy. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to play with him pretty wild because Emma's currently house sitting for some friends. And I was meant to go as well, but obviously a bit hard to take all the studio equipment there. It's also really far away. What is he doing? It's like any opportunity to make noise. Wow, we're getting really distracted by the cat here. This is an episode of Suzume. What do you expect? The cat episode. We discussed, there's Suzume, which has a cat. There is Cells at Work cat coming. There is a cat in the studio running rampant. And I guess because there's only 2 of us, that's not enough for him.
Yeah, I guess.
He's used to there being like 5 people
social.
in the studio. So look, next episode we'll be back in 2 weeks. It'll be fun. It'll be entertaining. It'll be something unexpected because we don't even know what we're doing yet.
It'll be anime.
It'll be anime. Or will it?
Oh.
Will it be a horrible live action?
Oh god.
Promise Netherland live action 2. No, that's not even released or announced for that matter. But yeah, I think that kind of wraps it up. Thanks to everyone who saw us at Hoshicon. It was great to see you. Yeah, I'm sure we'll see you at the next convention we get invited to do a live panel or big anime quiz. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. And with that, thank you so much for listening. And until next time, watch some anime. Liger, you are in so much trouble.